In the heart of ancient Asia, where mountains whispered secrets of old and rivers sang songs of the earth, there lived a Zen master known for his profound wisdom and serene demeanor. His abode was a modest hut by a river that roared and churned ceaselessly, a mirror to the master's ever-calm soul. Not far from this tranquil haven, in a village shadowed by the looming mountains, was a warrior named Jin. Famed across the land for his unmatched skill in battle, Jin was equally notorious for his quick temper. His emotional outbursts were as fierce as his swordplay, often leading to strife and sorrow. Despite his valor and strength, the warrior's heart was in turmoil, enslaved by the unchecked tempest of his emotions. One day, after a particularly fierce outburst that left the village in dismay, Jin found himself wandering aimlessly. His steps, guided by a silent, desperate plea for peace, led him to the Zen master's dwelling by the river. As Jin approached, the master, an old man with eyes reflecting a depth of understanding, continued his meditation, undisturbed by the warrior's imposing presence. It was not until the gentle rustling of leaves settled that the master spoke, his voice calm as the distant mountains. "You come seeking peace in a world you find chaotic," the master said, not a question, but a knowing statement. Jin, taken aback by the master's insight, nodded. "I am a prisoner of my own emotions. My anger dictates my actions, and I fear it will be my downfall." The master gazed at the turbulent river beside them, then back at Jin. "You are like this river, warrior, powerful, untamed, and constantly in turmoil. But even the wildest rivers can find tranquility." Jin sat beside the master, a flicker of hope igniting in his weary heart. "Teach me then," he implored. "Teach me to find the calmness you speak of." And so began Jin's journey to mastering his emotions, a journey that would not only transform him, but also reveal the profound wisdom of controlling the tempest within. As the first light of dawn touched the river, turning its turbulent waters into a golden tapestry, the Zen master led Jin to the water's edge. "Before you can control your emotions, you must learn to understand them," the master began, his voice as tranquil as the early morning. Jin, eager yet uncertain, listened intently as the master continued. "Your emotions are like this river. They have a source, a flow, and an end. Observe the water, how it rushes, twists, and turns, never still, never the same." For days, Jin sat by the river, watching its relentless flow. He saw how the water reacted to rocks and fallen trees, sometimes with fury, other times with a mere ripple. Slowly, the warrior began to see a reflection of his own inner world in the river's ceaseless motion. One morning, as Jin observed the sunrise over the river, the master joined him. "What have you learned?" he asked. Jin turned to him, a hint of enlightenment in his eyes. "I have learned that emotions are ever-changing. They can be fierce, but they can also be gentle. They are not to be feared, but understood." The master nodded in approval. "Yes, and like the river, your emotions follow a path. They rise, peak, and eventually fade. But remember, the river does not try to control its flow, nor should you attempt to suppress your emotions." This was a turning point for Jin. He had always thought controlling his emotions meant suppressing them, but now he understood it was about awareness and acceptance. "Your task now," the master said, "is to learn how to respond to your emotions, not react. Like a skilled sailor who navigates the river's currents, you must learn to navigate the currents of your emotions." Jin spent his days in contemplation and practice, learning to observe his emotions without becoming swept away by them. He was beginning to understand the Zen master's teachings, but the true test of his progress was yet to come. As the seasons changed and the leaves turned from green to a tapestry of autumn hues, Jin's understanding deepened. He had learned to watch his emotions like the river, observing their ebb and flow without judgment. Yet, the true mastery of emotions, the Zen master warned, comes not in solitude, but in the throes of the world. One day, a conflict arose in the village. A dispute between two families threatened to erupt into violence, with angry voices rising like a storm. Jin, upon hearing the commotion, felt the familiar surge of anger boiling within him. But this time he paused, recalling the Master's teachings. He approached the quarreling crowd, not as a warrior ready for battle, but as a mediator seeking peace. His heart raced, and his emotions swirled like the river in a storm, yet he held them in awareness. Using words tempered with understanding and compassion, Jin listened to each side and spoke with a calmness that had once been foreign to him. His demeanor, so different from the fiery warrior the villagers knew, had a soothing effect. Gradually, the anger in the crowd dissipated, replaced by a willingness to listen and reconcile. As the villagers found resolution and the crowd dispersed, Jin felt a profound sense of accomplishment. He had faced his inner turmoil and navigated through it, not with force, but with understanding and calm. Returning to the Zen Master, Jin shared his experience. The Master listened, a gentle smile on his lips. "You have learned well," he said. "You have discovered that the true strength of a warrior lies not in the force of his sword, but in the mastery of his emotions." Jin realized that his journey was not about becoming emotionless, but about finding balance. He had learned to be like the river, powerful yet peaceful, capable of both strength and serenity. As winter blanketed the landscape in serene white, Jin reflected on his journey. He had come to the Zen Master as a storm of emotions, but now he found himself in a state of peaceful balance. Yet, the Master hinted there was one last lesson to be learned. One chilly morning, the Master took Jin to the highest peak overlooking the valley. Below them, the river appeared as a delicate ribbon, meandering through the sleeping land. To master your emotions is not just to control them, but to live in harmony with them, the Master spoke softly. Jin pondered this, his breath forming clouds in the cold air. The Master continued, "Emotions are a part of you, as the river is a part of the valley. To deny them is to deny yourself. True mastery is to understand their place in the greater landscape of your being." The Master then instructed Jin to close his eyes and meditate, to feel every emotion as part of the vast tapestry of his existence. As Jin meditated, he felt anger, joy, sadness, and fear all flow through him, but he neither clung to them nor pushed them away. Instead, he let them be, understanding that they were integral to the whole of who he was. When Jin opened his eyes, the world seemed different, more vibrant and alive. He looked at the Master, a sense of profound gratitude filling him. "I understand now," Jin said. "My emotions are not my enemies. They are guides, reminders of my humanity and my connection to this world." The Master nodded, a look of fulfillment in his eyes. "You are ready now, Jin, ready to return to the world, not just as a warrior, but as a beacon of balance and understanding." Jin descended from the peak, not just as a student who had learned a lesson, but as a man transformed. He carried with him the wisdom of the river, a symbol of the harmony between strength and serenity, power and peace. In the years that followed, Jin's legend grew, not just as a great warrior, but as a wise teacher who helped others find the balance within themselves. His story, like the river, flowed through the ages, a powerful testament to the mastery of emotions and the tranquility that comes from within. And so the tale of the warrior and the river became a timeless Zen story, teaching generations the art of emotional control and the beauty of inner harmony.